Hello, everybody. This is Indigenous Monstrosity, and I am Monstrositus. Um, I haven't been here in a while. I haven't made any videos. I've been trying to get my head straight and wrapped around creating a comic book of my own. I've been watching a lot of these videos with these comics gate people and their opposers and all of these things, and I don't like what's happened to the comic books game. I can't call myself a comics gator because I'm a black man. I haven't seen any black people involved over on that side, so I'm not gonna invite myself somewhere where I might not be invited. So I do agree with their views, though. I want to see better comic books because I haven't collected books in a while. Don't have any comics in my neighborhood, no comic book stores in my neighborhood, so it's difficult for me to go out and searching for comics, so I haven't bought comics in years. Any reviews? I've done one already. I'm gonna do some more. I have a collection of Tangent comics from DC. When they came out with their first black Superman comic, and I don't know if it was the first Doom Patrol, but I got Doom Patrol and some other like 4 or 5 other comics that I've got first issues that I have that I'm gonna do some reviews on. But um, and I'm also been working it hard, banging my head against the wall, trying to get the story out, trying to get it all written down and outlined and written and ready for drawing. I wish I could say that I had all kinds of 20 years experience in the comic book industry like EVS does. So I have the popularity of anybody out there, but I don't. All I can say is that I have the experience of drawing. I've been drawing for a good 40 years, off and on, not, but I picked up quick. I have skills, and you will see this. So everything I'm telling you about in these videos are for you to get to know me, so that you can trust in my storytelling and trust that a comic book made by me, the monstrositous one, will be will be one of those books that you can't put down. You'll be intrigued. I have Illuminati type groups. I have superhero singles groups, and I intend to, being that I have so many characters, I'm gonna be making a video about what I call my Bible. It's uh, three composition notebooks tied together over the years, filled with just basically names of different characters that I have written in this book, with little descriptions of either abilities, origins, how to wield their power, anything that I could think of, so to let me know that when I came back to this particular character, that I know what I was thinking when I came up with it. So they're not fully flushed out characters, but they're something to start, or a jump off point. So this book, what I call my Bible, is filled with over 10,000. It's closer to 15, but I know over the years I stopped trying to sift through back and forth. The first 2 books I tried to sift through to make sure I didn't double, duplicate, and triple. And when I got to the 3rd book, I stopped sifting. So it's possible there's a lot of doubles and sometimes triples on purpose. Some of them because I'm creating categories over the years that some of them might have wind up being in single groups and then in categories. So this Bible is where I gather all of my characters, and I've been building my stories and my villains and origins, lore, everything that I could think of, and I've been just cramming it into the story. And being that I have so many characters, I'm going to be introducing a lot of cameo appearances that if you guys like these guys, they can spin off into other books. And I plan to have, if y'all like the first book, I intend to hire people to help me get out several other copies back to back so that I can have 2 or 3 100-page or somewhere around 100-page graphic novels come out a year, hopefully up to 4, completing any story quickly where you don't have to wait a year or half a year to a quarter of a year. I mean, not more a quarter of a year, but 3/4 of a year in order to get a book. So I would like to this is if I can get you guys to like my stuff. I have to set up all kinds of email lists and all of this stuff. I know I have a lot of work to do. So this video is basically to introduce you to me and let y'all know what type of person I am and maybe give you a glimpse into my storytelling abilities, because I'm going to be speaking off the head most of the time. I might jot down some things, but I'm telling you things from my life. Power, this power thing I'm telling you about is something that I've wielded many times in life. I was once a hood rat, a gangster, a corner boy, what you might call today a thug, a drug dealer, or drug dealer adjacent. But I did many things I don't apologize for. This is not what I'm here for. I'm here to let you know a little bit about power. And in my opinion, uh, power has nothing to do with um, politics or people, wealthy people with their money and all of that. It has something to do with it, but there's 4 categories that I'm going to explain to you that has to do with power, and uh, wealth and all of that other stuff falls into one of the categories. So it's not about running your computer. It's not about how strong your computer is, how strong your cars are. It's not about black power, even though it's part, in part. It's not about anything like that. It's about the power that's inside you and inside me, way deep inside or wherever, however you want to take it. It's you. It's your fortitude, your courage, your will. But the four things you need to wield power sufficiently and so that you don't have it turned back on you. Um, the first thing is knowledge. You need to know that you have power. You need to understand that you can use power for things like protecting yourself without having to fight. Um, Sometimes wielding your power correctly can help you prevent from getting into a fight. Uh, but you have to know that you have power. A lot of people walk around and they are frightened, scary. You might call them. I've heard called what, cuck. I've heard in my day we call them soft, or moist. I created that one myself back in the 90s. Moist. I hear you guys using today. I'm going to be elaborating on that though. I make up stuff all the time. So uh, moist or cucked, weak, whatever the term, nerd, geek. I'm a nerd. I'm one of the biggest nerds out there, but I'm a powerful nerd. I'm one of those nerds that you will be sorry that you fucked with. Oh, uh, I'm gonna have to come up with my my, my alternate phraseology for I guess flashy dialogue. But anyway, power, you need four things, and the first is knowledge. The second would be the will. Well, it's not. There's no real what I would say is a list, but there's no one, two, three, four, and you should have this one. They all come together. Any order. Knowledge should be first, though. If you don't have the knowledge, the others won't help you. So you need knowledge. You need strength. Strength is more physical. The more strength you have in your body and mind, the better you can wield your power. Because the power of your body is the first, like the first line of defense. It was the first thing people see, and first thing that can cause like that barrier of defense that can make people back off from you. So anything. This is where money comes in. This is where all of these things, all of those exterior things, like physical appearance. If you know any type of self-defense, martial arts, boxing, anything like that, this all adds to your ability to wield power, the strength part. You need to have some kind of strength besides just knowing power. If you're have power but you're weak, uh, you still have to have, even if you're smart, and you have to have strength of mind in order to wield that power, because if you let somebody run over you mentally, and this is what happens all of the time with what your people who get picked on or whatever, this is the first line of weakness, is they're easily intimidated. So your power structure has to come with confidence and strength, whether it be strength of body, strength of mind, money. All of these things help to fortify confidence, and you need confidence and strength to wield power. The third would be will. You have to have the will, the want, the desire to wield power. You can have knowledge, you can have strength, but again, if you don't have the courage to do what comes to mind or do what's necessary to wield power, um, uh, it's again worthless. You might as well be a nerd, or someone who gets picked on a lot. I believe that a lot of people who resort to weapons and do these mass killing things, people who have suffered powerlessness for so long and by so many people, because when you get picked on, this is what happens. I've been bullied before I was a kid, and my father, who was all about 5 foot, maybe 4 foot 11, at best 5 foot 1, and he had a physical disability, walk with a limp, and that's what I remember most of my life of my father. But he had a strong, powerful personality. He didn't back down from people, and so when I came into a house, which had to be about 5, 6 years old, and I only say that because I moved at 7 from this rough neighborhood I grew up in, and That's my ghetto where I grew up at. That's my ghetto. So if a little bit of ghetto slips out from time to time, hey, I don't apologize. That's just me. Um, I'm ghetto is my first language. English is my second. We should all, every black person should wield their ghetto, uh, just like every foreigner does. This is something that we created. It's homegrown. American blacks, wield your ghetto. Don't be afraid of it. Don't slip into what do they call assimilation. Wield your power. So getting back to that third and fourth, you need the will. And growing up in the neighborhoods I grew up in, my father, he took me the first time I came home. Well, I don't know if it was the first time because this is like a, a situation that I remember because of what happened. So the other situations I tend not to remember before that. So I'm not sure which if there were situations that I got picked on that I didn't respond to, but this particular, I know I used to get picked on by several people on my block, from older girls to kids my age, and so, but I've always defended myself either with some kind of a weapon or something. But my first experience with power was my father. He's, like I said, 5 foot, around, a limp and a disability because of the limp. The limp was because of the disability. The disability that he passed to me, my brother, and my twin sister. But I've worked out since I got it. They told me that I was. He told me that I was gonna get it before it happened, and I turned 13, that it was gonna happen. And my brother, I used to tease him, so he said, "Don't worry, it's gonna happen to you too," and it did. And I became a different person at that time. I had to. I was this tough kid, like I said. My father, when I first, my first experience with bullying that I can remember, my first experience with power, this is where it came from my father. He introduced me to it in a way that most people today would deem as, I guess, child abuse or barbaric or whatever. But with him, throwing you into the deep end was basically how he handled it. So I came in about 5 years old. Like I said, we moved around 7 or 8. So when I was 7 or 8, so I figure at least 3 years because I got kicked out of school for fighting. I was not a bully. I never bullied anyone, but anybody who picked on me or my sister, I was told that I had to fight. So I used to jump on anybody I saw bothering my sister. So it was like that. I would just be on top of people, beating on them, and I get punished for it. For in school, I was a Catholic school for 8 years, 10 years if you count the Head Start and kindergarten and all of that. But my father took me out. He said I came home crying, like I said, around 4 or 5 years old. And he said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Some kid was bothering me. He was picking on me, hit me, did whatever he did to have me cry." And my plug is very loosely attached. I might have to tape that. Damn it. But anyway, I'll edit it. So I came home one day crying because this kid hit me. Um, he was picking on me. I know he had to have hit me. I didn't back then. We didn't cry over picking on. The kid had to have hit me. He put hands on me, and I didn't do anything. I went home and I cried about it, and my father said, "What happened?" And he says, "I told him this kid picked on me. He hit me." So he said, "Okay, okay, calm down. Let me get my coat and let's go outside. I'll deal with this." So of course, I'm feeling good at this time. You know, my daddy's gonna take care of it. So he grabs me by the hand, takes me outside, and says, "Yo, I want you to show me which one hit you." And so I go, we walk down to the corner, and he says, shows me, and I show him. And he bends down to me, and he tells me, "Okay, I want you to go over there and beat that boy's behind. And if you don't, I'm gonna beat yours." Well, I don't remember doing anything else but turning to that kid, walking over there and raining blows on him until he started crying and fell down or whatever. And my father said, "That's enough, let's go." And I was like a pit bull, got up off of him and went home with my father. And from that point on, I was never afraid to defend myself from anyone again. I was bullied again, but I was never afraid. Um, I always would warn you because I wasn't allowed to just hit someone, but I would always get to warn them, and that was my favorite thing. Part of my power structure that somebody talking crap, all I had to do was say, "You could talk all the crap you want, just don't put your hands on me." And that'll always embolden these bullies because they think you're a sucker, you're a punk, you're moist, that you've been drenched or doused. These are the new terms you guys can use out there to express how these moist boys have gotten. Well, you're moist if you're just soft. But these guys out here who are moist and then who are turning to femogeny, I know it's called misandry, but I got my own words. Like I say, I make up stuff all the time. So I call it femogeny. I it's like calling somebody a nigger. How can you call somebody else, like say I know this is not good stuff to talk about, but say somebody calls me a nigger. Calling them, there's no names out there that really equals the degradation of the word nigger. So calling them something else back is really soft soaping it, soft stepping it, whatever. You can't really match it. There's nothing really out there. And I feel that's the same thing for misandry and misogyny. Misogyny sounds a whole lot worse to me, in my opinion, than misandry. That sounds like some woman's name. So I call it femogeny. And SJWs, um, they're wannabes. They're not soldiers. I don't know why y'all call them that. But anyway, from that point on, I've been picked on. But like I said, older girl down the block bothers me. I find a piece of metal, I bounce it off of her head. She doesn't bother me no more. The next time I see her, she's got a lump on her head and she's saying hi. And then my older sister also had to reinforce that, you got what you deserve. Now the next time you got to deal with me. So, but I handle it myself. Um, you touch me. My father always said, words don't mean nothing. I don't want to hear you fighting because you got somebody called you something. But if they put your hands on you, go for it. So, like I said, as long as you don't touch me, bing! As soon as you touch me, you get a pop in the nose, and usually that was the end of the fight because little kids get popped in the nose. The pain from getting your nose bust is extreme, and usually that's when they run off crying. When I was a kid, I didn't really have a lot of extended fights. I had a couple that I can remember, but it wasn't much. And then after I moved, people tried to bully me, and usually it was groups. But see, back then, again, y'all today, y'all don't have no power. Y'all are so scared of one-on-ones that it's always some group jumping on one person. Back in the day, we would have never heard that. Y'all starting out with no power. Y'all scared to fight one-on-one. What power do you have? Without your clique, who are you besides some moist boy? Some drenched, doused dude. Come on, get out of here. Learn to stand up for yourselves. Otherwise, uh, stay in your mama's basement. But if you want to get up out of there, learn the four. You got to learn the four properties of power. And the fourth one would be wisdom. It's great to have strength, the will, and the knowledge of power, but wisdom, knowing how to strategically use your power, this is something that's extremely important. Um, uh, Strategy. Here's here's another tactic or power that I used to use all the time, and it helped me build confidence. But this is very tricky because you can get your butt whipped because of this. Well, I know back in the day, like I said, I don't know. I know there's dudes out there. I got challenged on the bus the other day by this youngin' that thought he could outwill me. He had thought he had more will than me. He had more power. But when you out in public, if you catch anybody staring at you, you have to stare them down. And I'm not talking about no weak stare where you're blinking and you're looking away. No, you stare them down. You you don't blink. You cannot blink. This is a sign of weakness. You blink, you're weak. You lose. This is back in the days. You lose because I got the ill street blues. You lose. So that's my boy. What's his name? That's way back in the day. Uh, G- 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 I know his name begins with a G, but yeah, his name is something G something. But uh, yeah, you stare them down until they look away, and then you look away. Don't try to go back and keep doing it. Just make sure that they don't, because you know sometimes people will stare at you. I don't know what's their problem, and then once you stare them down, they'll try to take sneak peeks at you after that. So I usually mean mug them until they get the hint, and then they avoid you for the rest of the trip. But I used to do that all the time. I intimidated people. I had a medicine build because of my disability. I worked out all the time from 13 up, so to try and offset the condition that was taking my muscles from me. So um, I didn't tell anybody, so I lived like a superhero. I had this thing that so the mutants was my favorite thing because I was like a mutant. I couldn't tell anybody. I would only tell like my very closest friend. Spider-Man was one of my favorites. So then now when people say they want to turn him gay and they're like he didn't affect my life in any way being a black man. Of course, he had a secret identity. I had a secret identity. I had secrets that I kept from everybody in my life, except for any girlfriend that was extremely close or any close friend. So, um, uh, having being collecting comics, the X-Men, Spider-Man, these things was what made me feel normal because like I said, I had to hide the truth about myself because growing up in a black neighborhood, get people picking on you all the time, all they need is to have information like that to try to roughshod you, you know, to use that as an excuse to know your weaknesses. I never give up my weaknesses to anybody except for people who I think I could trust. And uh, like I said, my personality grew in a way that even people who knew what my condition, rough neighborhood into a more you can call suburban neighborhood, and their kids tough was not tough in the neighborhood I came from. So, um, staring people down is your first. If people you walk past on the street staring at you, you stare at them until they walk past you. You don't turn your head to follow them. You keep walking by, but you don't let people stare you down. I don't care where you are, and you have to do it in a way where you don't mean mug. You can't get your eyebrows all furrowed. You have to kind of have what I call the dead face. You don't have no expression on your face, but you have a heavy brow. It's like you make your brow angry and then relax, but not all the way. You gotta feel it like a little heavy. You have to practice these things. I learned this from young, coming up. My teenage years when I started traveling to work on the subways, um, and the buses, I started practicing these techniques, and I knew. See, when things we knew coming up back in the earlier days is handshakes are important to distinguish a man, who they are, their character. I tell you something, I had an experience with a police officer not too long ago. I took some lumps. I got into a fight. This guy came into my home and being as old as I am, I'm in my 50s now and uh I haven't exercised in years. I was taking care of my mother, and when she started to decline before she passed in 2016, I declined. I wasn't eating good. I was staying up all types of hours in order to take care of her so that she can go to the bathroom back and forth. I would stay up so that I can be there for her. And so my body declined. I lost muscle mass. I lost, I wasn't eating right. I wasn't sleeping right. So by the time she died, I kind of died a little. And so over these past few years, I haven't recuperated. I haven't been working out. So this dude, I knew him, my brother's friend. He basically brought this dude in there to intimidate me, and he came at me, threatening me in my own home. This dude named George Major. Uh, like I said, he's a punk. I peeped his whole card, his whole card. I peeped him. He's a pussy. This dude is he's a real moist. He used to be a professional fighter, from what my brother said. He says, "Oh, this guy is tough. He's so bad. He was like Mike Tyson. He was knocking dudes out so bad he couldn't get anybody to fight him. So he was always a bum. He never had no good job. He never did anything. He was always just a bum, a palooka. From what I understand, that people took his manager took all his money. He didn't. He was a bum. So he comes in here trying to intimidate me, and he's talking about how he's going to knock me out because I told him to close the door. He's bringing in groceries for my brother. My brother's pathetic. He this condition that we have, he laid around for the last 30 years, 30 years, until he's basically a cripple. He can't barely walk. He can't do nothing, but he talks a lot of crap and wants to cause trouble. So he brings this dude into my home. Well, it's our home, and even though he don't pay for nothing, but he brings this dude into my home trying to intimidate me, and he thinks that I'm supposed to be scared because because my brother been living his life as a coward all his life. He gave up on living. He just been laying in a bed for the last 30 years, becoming a cripple. I know this thing is affecting me, and I've been working out. I had my mother on a workout regimen when I moved back home so that she could go to Africa and Las Vegas and down south and Mexico and Canada. She's been on several trips to the Mohican Sun and all kinds of places. And because I had her on this workout regimen, she was healthier than all of her friends. She and so she had this power and a certain level of power and strength to herself, and before she passed. So this guy comes in here and he's trying to intimidate me, and I'm not letting it. I told him I'm not gonna fight because I knew. I didn't tell him, but I could just assume he knew that I was afflicted because of my brother and my sister, my twin sister. He had children by her, and neither one of her children got it, and my brother's son don't have it. So I don't know if it skips a generation or what, but my father's father gave it to him. I never knew who that was, um, and he gave it to us. And he wasn't as bad as my brother. From what I understand, he used to run around with us in his 40s when I was a baby. So, and then he finally fell down and got hurt, and he was never really the same again after that. But that's the same with me. He was a merchant marine for years, and I believe his time on that ship, being thrown around by the ship pitching from the waves, helped to keep his legs stable. And me walking for most of my life on the jobs that I had, and I did a lot of physical labor, manual labor, and the job I had for the last 18 years before I stopped working was putting the advertisements on the buses and inside the buses. So I collected those signs from inside the buses so that I could draw on the back of them because they was beautiful board and great for texture. I love the way the pencil responded to the texture of these boards. So a lot of my drawings from back in the 90s and late 80s came from drawing on, and that's where most of my practice came from. I didn't draw for many years. I drew as a teenager, then I stopped when I got kicked out of the house for smoking weed. My pops kicked me out, West Indian father, so he didn't put up with shit. So he kicked me out, and then I moved back in, I guess, when I was around 20. And then he took me to court and had me put out again. And but there's several things when it comes to that power. I stopped lying on my own. I told myself, why should I lie? Most people lie because they're afraid of getting in trouble. So unless uh, a job or police or some type of authoritative, something that can affect my life, I don't see no reason to lie, except for maybe to girls. You don't want to be too brutally honest because that's what I call myself. I'm a brutally honest person, but girls, you can't be telling them that they look fat in that outfit and stuff like that. So and if it unnecessarily causes pain, then I'll consider lying, but or what you call a white lie, but it's still lying to me. Lies of omission, still lies to me. And these things is what I've been able to use to build my confidence and build my power. These are the first things, like I said, being able to see a predator or another alpha out there and being able to go head to head with that alpha without bringing, this is what I'm talking about, wisdom. Never challenge. I was telling you about this fight. So anyway, this dude's trying to take my power from me by calling me out. He's talking about how he's in my home and he's gonna knock me out. He's saying all of these things and threatening me, and so and all by rights, by street law, yeah, I should have rained on him. But me, I'm a smart person. Like I said, wisdom. Wield your power with smarts. Now this guy's in there goating me, trying to get me to hit him. Why? If you're a professional fighter, why are you trying to goat me to hit you first? So I assumed that my brother, he already called the cops on me because the breaker in his room, the lights go out because he got all kinds of crap in there, freezers, televisions, refrigerators, all in a bedroom. Yes, a big chest freezer and TVs, cable boxes, computers, all of this stuff plugged in. And my mother's room, that was in my mother's room, and she didn't have that stuff in there. So every once in a while, the breaker trips. He calls the cops on me. The very first time it happens. No questions, nothing. He just calls the cops. And the cop coming over here sees this crippled person and automatically assumes that I'm guilty. I walk outside and this dude, the cop is coming at me. Yeah, you know what you did. I'm like, what? I look at my brother and he goes, yeah, you know, don't look at him. Don't try to intimidate him. You know what you did. What are you talking about? Again, using my intelligence, this cop is trying to goat me. He's starting to try and talk about my home because the grass was a little overgrown, talking about how disgusting it is. This is a nice neighborhood. And he's talking about how, man, he wish he could grown up in a neighborhood like this, that I don't deserve this type of home. And all this is a cop. He's here to protect and serve, and he's trying to goat me into a situation where he could either shoot me or arrest me for getting out of line. So of course I speak my piece, but I keep my tone low. I don't curse. And cursing is another thing because people like to use the saying, oh, why you curse at me? This is them trying to assert their power. It has nothing to do with the argument. It doesn't, cursing doesn't mean anything. So what if I curse at you? Listen to what I'm trying to tell you. This is what people say. Oh, you can't talk to me in that tone of voice. You can't curse at me. You can't yell at me. What does that have to do with the point that I'm trying to make? And usually they declare all of these statements when you're winning the argument. They declare that you can't talk to me this way, you can't curse at me, you can't yell, and they storm off so that they can declare themselves elitists better than you. And we're all elitists. We've all been acclimated, um, assimilated into the process. Uh, you know the word I'm looking for. You've been brought in from your parents from the time that you was a child. Well, I'm rambling on. This is another video I should be making about elitism and how we all suffer from it. Every last one of it. If you've been in school, any kind of school, you're an elitist. You've been taught. If you've been any kind of religion growing up, you're an elitist. You've been taught you're better than all of them because your religion makes you better. They're going to hell and you're not. You get better grades and they're going. I remember kids saying, you're gonna work for me when I grow up because I'm gonna be a doctor and you're gonna be a maid or something like that because your grades was bad, you know. So this is elitist attitude. You see it all the time with everybody, and some of the most elitist people are religious people. Like I said, I grew up in the Catholic faith, but I don't believe in any of that no more because, and I'm not an intelligent person. Now I know you're gonna say that this makes me weak, that I'm no. Intellect means I just don't have the intel. This is like calling somebody ignorant. They instantly get hostile. But ignorance just means I don't have the intel. I don't have the information. So I don't mind being ignorant. I know that I am. I know I'm not intelligent, but I'm smart as hell. So, um, having those four things, being able to wield power, is having the ability, the knowledge of that you have it, the will to use it, the intent to use it, the strength to use it, to wield it, and the wisdom to wield it. Without strategy, without strategic intent, tactic, like I said, when you staring at somebody, you never stare at them first unless you're a bad mother. Shut your mouth. Unless you're a bad mother, shut your mouth. You do not do this. Every time I can get out of it by not staring first. But I don't care how big you are, I don't care how bad you look. Most average people on the train are just on their way to work and they don't want no trouble. See? So intelligence, that's the average person on the train. They ain't not gonna want no trouble. So even if you do get into that staring match and the dude goes, yo, what you fuck you looking at? Oh, again, I'm gonna have to bring it my alternative speak, but my but I got something for that. I just haven't been practicing. But yeah, never stare at anybody first. You stare at them second, but you don't break the stare. Once you catch them staring at you, I don't care how badass they are, you stare them down until they stop. Now, like I said, badass motherfuckers, other apex individuals out there will challenge you. What the fuck you looking at? And the only thing you have to say is what the fuck you looking at? You was looking at me first, motherfucker. And either he's gonna want to jump up or he's gonna say, psst. And I've had that happen several times. But like I said, I was an imposing individual. I had huge shoulders. Um, I wore clothing that basically, work clothes that gave you a bulkier look. I had the dead face, I had the look, and I wasn't afraid. So all of these things together, these are everything is psychological. Everything. Police are taught to how to show power. And like I was saying, I had this incident where I got lumped by this dude. And I didn't finish the story because I got lumped. No, I was rambling, and I got to learn to keep straight on what I'm talking about. Um, excuse me. This guy came in here and he was upset because of the crap that my brother was telling him. So I saw him come into the house a month previous, and he had an attitude. Like I said, this dude had a baby by my sister. So we knew each other, but he's my brother's friend. Professional fighter comes in there, he's trying to get me to strike him first in my home. So again, my wisdom kicks in. Why would these two be collaborating to try and get me to strike him first? If he had a problem with me, why ain't he just come in swinging? So I start going off. You gonna knock me out? Do it. I'm right here. I'm not gonna fight you. I knew why. Like I said, I hadn't been exercising. I was slow. I was totally out of shape. And like I said, this condition's been gripping me. But now, since the incident, like I said, he's coming at me talking, so I let him have all guns. He comes into the room and he starts talking. I told him, yo, man, can you close the door? So he's like, yo, man, you heard me at the door, right? You heard me at the door, right? Because I hadn't opened the door. He knocked on the door, and I didn't fuck with it because that's between him and my brother. Why should I? If he would have gotten up and done any type of movement, he wouldn't be as crippled as he is. And then you're gonna come over here crapping on me when I'm taking care of everything by myself, including all of the years I put in taking care of my moms by myself. I ain't complain. My mother cried because nobody visited her, but I didn't complain. I even let him move in. He moved in and the will wasn't finished, but I let him move in and he hadn't paid not a dime. But still, he's telling this dude all of the stuff that I'm doing to him. So this dude comes in Aggie, all puffed up and swole, trying to take in all this air and intimidate me. So I let him have it. He's talking about, yo, you let me. I said, first of all, calm that nonsense. Anything that you buster ass moist nigga like you got to say to me, I don't want to hear it. Because that's his problem. Who the fuck are you? This nigga ain't never paid for no child support for no kids he ever had. Like I said, he's a bum, a palooka, a has been, nothing but a has been. That's from cartoons from way back in the day. So you're gonna be hearing some old stuff out of me. Um, but yeah, so I go and sit down, and when I see him come in to get a little boisterous a little bit more, I jump back up because I know how suckers are. And guess what happens? I go back and sit down, and he bum rushes me. As soon as he see I'm trying to get back to my feet, he bum rushes me. He hits me on the jaw, a ex-boxer who's still in training because he keeps himself in shape. I wasn't in shape, but I saw the fear in his eyes. I saw he didn't want to hit me. He stayed up there for like 10 minutes arguing back and forth. He wouldn't hit me when he had the chance while I'm standing in front of him. He even pat me on the shoulder. Like, come on, let's do it. I put my hands on you. And again, in the normal times, bing, I would have popped the nigga that put his hands on me. That's what I use. You can't use your tactics on me. So, he hits me right on the button, right where you're supposed to hit a person to knock them out. Right on the chin, right on the jaw. That's the place where you hit somebody to get the optimum torque on their head spinning. And this sends your brain throwing around inside your skull and causes you to go unconscious. This is what causes knockouts. And this punk ass nigga couldn't do it. I fell back into the chair. He jumps on me, and he starts raining punches on the side of my head as he's trying to choke me to sink in a rear naked choke. And thank goodness, boy, it was just like the UFC, man. I've been watching the UFC for like 10 years since it was on Spike, and I pick up all of that crap, man. I watch all of that. I could probably choke a dude out, throw some omoplatas and go-go platas and some of that stuff on you. I know I could do triangles and rear naked chokes and all. So this dude, he gets his forearm on my esophagus, and I tried to breathe, and I felt it. I couldn't breathe. So I didn't panic. I'm not a panicker. Like I said, I've had many fights. I didn't panic. I just knew what I remember hearing during the fights, during the commentation. Work the hands, work the hands. I knew if he didn't have it on my jugular or my carotid that I wasn't going to pass out. It would take me at least a minute, 2 minutes I could hold my breath. And even though I didn't prepare for it, I knew it would have been at least a minute, minute and a half before I would black out. So all I knew I needed to do was work the hands, because he didn't do it right. You're supposed to get the carotid or the jugular. One goes in and the other comes out. So if you cut off one, you don't get no brain to your no oxygen to your brain, and you black out. And this way, he tried to knock me out. He couldn't. He tried to choke me out. He couldn't. Punk. And so I easily went for his hands, bust his grip with no problem, grabbed his arm, peeled it away. He jumped up off of me, but I tweaked my back, man. Being out of shape at my age, he tweaked my back. So I got up and I was going to go at him because I knew what I could. Like I said, I'm not going to give away no tactics online because this fool might be watching. And if you are, I have been working out, getting my body in shape. So the next time I see you, you got that one. I gave that one to you, and I got 2 suckers with 1 flush. 2 lumps of crap with 1 flush down the toilet. Because he did catch me. See, he lumped me up. You see that? He caught me with some lumps right here. This is where I blocked. After he hit me a few times, I realized, I was like, oh, you napped. This dude is hitting me. So I threw my hand up, and I blocked. It was hitting the back of my hand, so that he sunk in the choke. And he had that across my jaw, and he couldn't sink it in, but then it slipped under, and that's when he caught the choke. But like I said, Thanks to the commentators on UFC. I broke that up, and I would have had him, but I didn't want to break up my house fighting this dude, rolling around and trying to get all of my video games and my movies and discs and my components, my TVs, everything was right there. I'm not going to break up all my crap for this dude. And like I said, if my brother is conspiring with this dude, is he trying to, he called the cops on me once. This dude gets all lumped up, or I hurt this dude, my brother's going to call and be a witness for him. So I took these lumps, and then I called the police on him, and now that nigga can't come in my house no more. You see? Strategy. I got him running for his life. 60 years old, and now he's gonna catch a felony. If the cops roll up on him while he's driving, he's gone. He's got to live in fear while my life continues. I'm still writing my story. I'm still reading, drawing, designing my characters. And if you guys be patient with me, I'm telling you, you're going to have fantastic stories. Some of my favorite stories is I'm going to do some videos on all of my collection. And I'm not going to have no damn streaming. Everything I got is on DVD or Blu-ray, because y'all guys is giving away all your power to the companies with this streaming crap. You can stream. This is the wave of the future. I don't doubt that it's going to take over, but collect your hard copies. Games, movies, TV shows, do not let them take that away from you. This is your power as a consumer. You take that away and it becomes a service. They raise the prices on you when they want to. This has all been a scam. This is how I'm going to do more videos. I'm doing too much. This video's running over an hour already, and I should have been off long time ago. But yeah, 4 things for wielding power, man. 4 things: knowledge, will, strength, and wisdom. Get at me, baby. Share this. Comment, do all you got to do. Do what you do, baby. Do all those things you do as YouTubers. Do what YouTube do. That's what I'm saying. Do what you YouTube do. Do what you YouTube do. Do all that subscribing, all of that stuff, because I'm going to teach you how to live your life a lot less frightened. It's better off if you learn young, but you can build it up. You can. Just build it up. Stay confident. Like I said, start exercising. Stop being flabby, man. Since these lumps, I've been in there, baby. My gut is down. I'm starting to wield my stuff, baby. I'm getting my body back and get my stability, my core. And this is what young Ripper was talking about. You can't be all bony and talking about, whoa, don't talk about people like that, and don't talk. No. Later for what people say. You got to grow a pair, people. Stop being soft. Stop being moist. And you guys who's trying to be homogenous, you're doused. Don't be doused. Don't be a douse boy. Don't get drenched. Get out from under the waterfall, people.